In a faraway kingdom nestled between rolling hills and sparkling waters, there lived an emperor known for his intelligence and fair governance. Despite his many virtues, the emperor had one significant flaw: he was too trusting. This trait, while admirable, often landed him in precarious situations. One day, a letter arrived addressed to the emperor from an unknown sender. The letter read, "I am the most beautiful woman in the world. Come to the westernmost palace tonight at midnight and I will prove it to you." Intrigued, the emperor decided to take up the challenge. At the stroke of midnight, he found himself at the westernmost palace, but instead of finding the most beautiful woman, he encountered a horrifying sight. The room was filled with smoke and the only illumination came from a brazier in the corner. Summoning his courage, the emperor stepped forward and through the hazy smoke, he saw a woman stirring a pot. Her face was hidden behind a large chef's hat and her back was adorned with intricate patterns that hinted at her royal lineage. The emperor cleared his throat, hoping to startle her, but the woman calmly turned around. She was indeed strikingly beautiful, but the emperor's surprise turned into horror, for the woman wasn't looking at him. Her eyes were vacant, staring straight ahead without focus. And to make matters worse, she didn't seem to recognize the emperor at all. Alarmed, the emperor quickly exited the palace, eager to escape this unsettling encounter. Back in the familiar surroundings of his own bedroom, he found solace and attempted to dismiss the bizarre incident from his mind. However, sleep evaded him. The image of the mysterious woman and her eerie stare burned in his memory. As the night wore on, the emperor's thoughts raced. Who was this woman? Why had she sent for him? And why did she seem so distant, as if her mind was elsewhere? Unable to find answers, he tossed and turned, the soft fabric of his royal bedding becoming a battleground for his troubled dreams. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the windows, chasing away the lingering shadows of the night. But the emperor's troubled mind remained shrouded in darkness. He summoned his most trusted advisor and confidant, an elderly man named Thomas, known for his wisdom and discretion. With a heavy heart, the emperor recounted his experience from the previous night. Thomas listened intently, his aged eyes filled with concern and understanding. When the emperor finished his tale, Thomas spoke in a low, steady voice, offering his perspective on the enigma they faced. He suggested the emperor visit the woman again, not at night, but during the day, when both the room and the woman would be fully illuminated, allowing him to observe her better. It was an idea born out of necessity, a way to confront the mystery rather than let it fester in the shadows. The emperor appreciated Thomas's pragmatic approach and resolved to follow his advice. Once more, he found himself drawn to the westernmost palace. But this time, instead of cloaking the encounter in the secrecy of night, he chose to unveil it under the bright light of day. The room appeared different now, devoid of the menacing shadows that had concealed the woman's true form the night before. As the emperor entered, he noticed small details he had missed before, such as a collection of cookbooks on a nearby table, each one bearing its own unique aroma. It became evident that the woman was not merely a mysterious visitor, but a chef of sorts, someone who had dedicated her time to the culinary arts. The chef, unaware of the emperor's return, continued stirring the pot, her movements precise and graceful. The emperor watched, intrigued, as she transformed raw ingredients into a culinary masterpiece. Her focused movements and the tantalizing smells emanating from the pot awakened a long-dormant sense of anticipation within him, an anticipation not just for food, but for the unveiling of the woman's identity. Time seemed to slip away as the emperor stood mesmerized, his gaze unwavering from the chef. Finally, as if sensing his presence, the woman turned. The emperor was taken aback. The vacant stare was gone, replaced by a warmth and recognition that belied her earlier detachment. A gentle smile graced her lips, erasing any doubts that may have lingered in the emperor's mind. It was in that instant that the emperor realized he had been watching his wife, a woman he had never seen and yet loved deeply because of the intriguing letter she had written. He had failed to recognize her in the dark confines of the palace, but here in the well-lit kitchen, his heart swelled with affection upon seeing her radiant smile. Embarrassed at his earlier behavior, the emperor approached her, his steps hesitant yet hopeful. As he drew closer, the rich aroma of spices and herbs intensified, teasing his senses and making his stomach rumble with hunger. The chef, ever graceful, had noticed the emperor's arrival and had prepared a magnificent feast. There were roasted meats, colorful vegetables, and aromatic sauces, each dish a testament to her skill and passion for cooking. But amidst the feast, one dish stood out, a simple brothy soup that looked more inviting than any other. Intrigued, the emperor asked about the soup, and the chef, with a twinkle in her eye, explained that it was her specialty, a recipe passed down from her grandmother. As they talked, the emperor learned that the woman's name was Isabella and that she had been chosen to be his wife not because of her beauty or status, but because of her excellent cooking skills. A wise old sage had advised the emperor's father to choose a wife for him based on her culinary talents, believing that a good cook would bring prosperity and happiness to the kingdom. And so, without ever seeing her, the emperor's father had arranged the marriage. Now, after all these years, the emperor finally understood the reasoning behind the unconventional choice. Lost in conversation, neither Isabella nor the emperor noticed that one of the dishes had begun to smoke. Suddenly, the sweet aroma of spices was overpowered by the acrid smell of burnt food. Startled, the chef rushed to address the smoking dish. Seizing the moment, the emperor decided to play a little joke on Isabella. He dipped a spoon into the soup and, without her knowledge, placed it on his tongue. To his surprise, the soup was delicious. Each spoonful was a burst of flavors, a harmonious blend of spices and textures that danced on his palate. It was a revelation for the emperor. He had never tasted such exquisite food, and he wondered how he had managed to live without it. But there was a problem. Ever since his wedding, the emperor had developed a strange aversion to food. Every meal tasted bland and unappetizing, no matter how hard his chefs tried. He had consulted with physicians, herbalists, and even mystics, but nothing could restore his lost appetite. In secret, he had resorted to eating bread and cheese in his chambers, hiding his condition from the entire kingdom. However, with Isabella's delicious soup, everything changed. In that one moment, the emperor's aversion to food vanished, replaced by a voracious desire to eat, to savor every bite of the meal that Isabella had prepared. He couldn't remember the last time he had enjoyed food so much. It was as if Isabella's cooking had unlocked a part of him that had been dormant for years. As the feast continued, the emperor ate heartily, laughing and conversing with Isabella. He forgot about the kingdom, his responsibilities, and all the troubles that had plagued him. For the first time in years, he felt truly happy. Later, when the feast was over and Isabella had retired for the night, the emperor couldn't sleep. Thoughts of his wife and her incredible cooking filled his mind. He couldn't understand why he had never noticed her before or why he had doubted her beauty. In fact, he couldn't remember what she looked like. Determined to see her again, he got out of bed and went to her chambers. He knocked on the door, and when Isabella opened it, he was met with a beautiful sight. Despite the late hour, Isabella was radiant, her eyes sparkling and her smile enchanting. The emperor, overcome with emotion, confessed his love for her and apologized for his past behavior. From that day on, things changed in the kingdom. The emperor and Isabella's love for each other grew stronger. With each passing day, the emperor regained his appetite and the kingdom flourished. People from neighboring kingdoms came to taste Isabella's cooking, and the emperor took great pride in his wife's culinary skills. And so the tale of the emperor who found his missing appetite and his beautiful wife serves as a reminder that sometimes the most extraordinary discoveries happen in the most unexpected of places. Love, like spices, can transform ordinary lives into something truly extraordinary.